Hey, full house one more time. Everyone's together.
Woohoo!
Good. That's good. Ernie, we're very happy you're sticking it out.
We're blessed to have you
Yes.
here, Ernie.
Thank you,
That's
Ernie.
right,
If
Ernie.
you saw the videos, I have been here.
Well,
Right? This is like 4 weeks straight. That's a streak.
Will you guys do the work for us? Count? do a measurement? We're kind of in debate
we have John chapter 4, verses 5 through 25.
here.
Woman at the well, 26. 5 to 26. Woman at the well.
Give me a drink.
Yes. We'll get after
Get
it.
it?
evil way, spit on my Lord in every way. Yet I'm still welcome in the arms.
Okay, so John 4, beginning at verse 5, Jesus
I have punched
comes
and
to
been knocked down, called God a
Samaria,
liar,
to
and
Sychar,
his cry.
and,
Yet I'm still welcome.
and he gets kind of dropped off by his disciples.
Well, they go to town for food, right?
Yeah, by the well.
And he's too tired to walk into town.
Yeah, he's chilling by the well, and they head into town. That leaves Jesus alone. And while he's there, what happens?
Woman shows up.
Woman shows up. Yeah. Do we make much about? I know, like a lot of commentaries do this. Why? Because you get very specific kind of time stamps
Yes.
on this. So what time of day is it? Let's just do that.
Noon, high noon,
I knew.
6th hour of the day.
It's hot.
It's hot. And
No,
yeah, and
no,
that's
usually don't go
So
to the
all
well.
the commentaries are like, nobody should be at the well. No women went to get water at the well in the middle of the day. You went in
Yeah.
the morning, you went in the evening.
and the point is that she's coming out to the well at that time
To
so
avoid.
that she doesn't have to deal with other
Stigma.
people.
Yeah.
That's
She's
usually
So
what's
there would
done
be
there.
usually be other people, especially the other women, getting water, and they would do this.
Is that
obviously,
reliable?
usually
Do we
in
think
the
that's
morning.
right?
I don't
Is
know.
that-
Yeah, everyone kind of talks that way, though.
The,
It's funny,
the
right?
authorities
I
say
don't know.
that. I don't know where the original story came up. So,
But even going through Samaria there was alternate routes to avoid Samaria in itself. So I
yes,
think
there's
that's
the way
another-
of this. There's the what is it? The way of the Jordan and then Samaria. So they would go the east side of the Jordan.
And
down
most
around.
people would
avoid
avoid
Samaria,
Samaria, but
yeah.
Jesus says, let's go straight for it
Yeah.
and see what happens. So
I
I
mean,
think
for a
it's
woman that's that shunned, I mean, later in the story, we don't have it in this, but she goes right back to town and tells everybody, and everybody listens and comes out to Jesus. I mean, if she's that shunned,
Yeah.
why did they listen to her when she ran to
That's a
town?
good question.
Well,
I don't know. Yeah,
I think part of it though. I mean, and if you do we didn't do the rest of the text, but if you do that, she goes back and says, "This man told me everything about me,"
yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, we got an honest guy at the well, right?" I mean, because I think that's part of it.
We got a
and-
rabbi, honest rabbi.
And even more than that, it excited her enough to come
Right.
back and tell us. I think is part of the kind of the draw here.
Yeah.
she was willing to put
So
herself
it
out
starts
there.
out pretty abrupt. She comes to the well. Jesus kind of looks over and just says, "Give me a drink." Right? Give to me a drink. And why is she shocked that he would even do this? I mean, maybe we should talk a little bit about that.
He's a Jew.
Yeah. Well, what's the deal with that?
Well, I mean, she says they don't chit chat with each other. It's not done.
Tim doesn't know. He's just pulling that right out of the text.
Just pulling it right out of the
What?
text. It's usually a
good
good
way
way
to
to
do
do
it.
it.
Oh, okay.
It's usually like,
Wow.
when in doubt,
Yeah.
go with the text.
Yeah, my exegetical technique is in question apparently.
Well, what's the deal with the? We don't have to unpack it all, but what's the issue with the Samaritans and the Jews? Why is that a problem, Matt?
You had to go to me, huh?
Long-term issues.
All right.
Long-term
Yeah, so the Samaritans are a mix left over from the Assyrian conquest of Israel. And so they were intermarried with outside groups.
Okay.
Even more than that, they were the tribes that broke off from Judah and Jerusalem, and so they established their own place of worship and all of these kinds of things.
Which comes out in the story.
And their
Which comes
worship
out
was
in the
different too, wasn't it? I mean, they only dealt with the first 5 books. Of
Yeah,
the Torah, I mean,
they're
it
kind of like the
was-
Sadducees
right.
in that but they're more mystical. They're still more.
Yeah.
They still believe in a coming Messiah, which the Sadducees had pretty much discounted at that point.
Mount
so-
Gerizim is where they.
Yep, Mount Gerizim.
Where they worship.
Still exists today,
Separate.
by the way. Still wear all white, all of this kind of stuff. It's there's still a group of them
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
land of Israel.
So she's shocked that a Jew would even approach her. There is a sense where I don't. This doesn't want to be a big sermon point, but it is worth noting. Like Jesus regularly breaks taboos. Like first of all, that he's talking to a woman alone out by the well, so that's a taboo. That he asks her to provide him drink, that would be a taboo. And then that she's a Samaritan on top of it too. I mean, he just kind of doesn't care, right? I mean, he's doing his thing, and so she's rightly shocked by all this, and his reply is sort of like, if you knew who I was, right? Like that would change this dramatically, right? What does he? I guess. What does he offer?
The well
No, living water.
of eternal life.
Well, no.
No.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
He wasn't wrong.
I'm never wrong.
A well, not
Hey, well.
Yeah.
I mean,
a
it says
different
it's gonna,
well.
it says it's
Not
gonna be
that
a well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar. Close enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Timothy, all right?
Of water that for life, living water, this
Yeah.
kind of stuff, right? Something more than the water of this well provides is obviously the indication here. And she comes right back. Wait a minute, are you greater than Jacob? They're at Jacob's well.
Well, and I wonder, Mayin Kaim, the Hebrew for that, means water that's moving.
Okay. Like a
And so I
living
wonder
spring.
if her first instinct isn't necessarily where we go with kind of water of life and all of that from this text, but just we're not anywhere near a river. There's no springs around here. That's why we dug the well.
Yeah.
Where are you going to get this stuff?
This isn't a
So-
bubbling
Yeah, this
spring or
isn't
something.
this isn't a brook.
Yeah, and so like basically, who are you? Jacob drank from this well. His sons did. His flocks drank from this well, and so then Jesus comes back to her and says what? How does he kind of open this up even more?
Do I know the try?
Nobody?
Oh, it's my turn?
Yeah.
We don't have to
It's
take
Tim's turn.
I already corrected Ernie.
Now it's our turn to correct you.
Great group of guys.
Put yourself out there, Tim.
About thirst, right? About thirst, about
Yeah.
being thirsty again. Whoever drinks from this well will be thirsty, but whoever drinks of what I give to him will never be thirsty again. Kind of like the bread of life,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, that's a good connection.
But yeah, that's that picture of satisfaction, eternal satisfaction that God gives. Jesus in the flesh here is telling her who he is, and because of who he is, he delivers the water of eternal life. So I think back to what the taboos. I think it's just Jesus showing who he has come for, and that's literally for el mundo, for everyone,
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
So I think that's something that I think Israel.
Yeah,
is
so
kinda
Yeah,
foreign
I
to
mean,
them.
she wants the water, right? But she doesn't get what he's talking about.
yeah, and you get
They're
well
not.
here now. You get like this is something far beyond just like a spring, something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Because this is water you will never be thirsty again. I mean, that's insane, right? And what comfort that would be for her to possess water that would cause you never to thirst again.
That's where
right?
she.
Yeah.
That's where she goes with this,
And
right?
so she wants it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, heck yeah.
It's interesting because he goes to the next level. He jumps to kind of spiritual, and she stays very much on the physical,
Yeah,
right?
for as long as she can.
For as long, well, yeah, and she'll jump
Right.
to the spiritual,
Yeah.
when she tries to change the subject.
Yeah,
But,
so because this leads into the next part is she clearly wants it, and he says, "Yeah, go and get your husband and come back here, right? And presumably then I'll give it to you, right?
I don't have
What's-
a husband. You're right when you say you don't have a husband.
Yeah.
Like the act of listening.
Yeah. So she goes, well, I don't have a husband. And he goes, yeah, that's right. Cause what? Because you have
Penta,
5 of
right?
them.
You've had 5 husbands.
And you got a guy right now that's not one. So you get a little bigger picture of maybe this is where the commentaries, I'm sure, go of maybe why she's at the well in the middle of the day.
Right.
Yeah. And if we're going back to Jacob, right? I wonder if this is kind of a Tamar situation where Tamar had, what is it, 3 of the sons, right? And they all died.
Yeah.
And so then there's the 4th son, and he's like, yeah, I'm not giving her because she's a widowmaker, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea here. I wonder if that's the case, or if she's really. We always go with adultery, right?
Yeah.
That she's just kind
Yeah.
of giving it up. But
although I've heard somebody who's better is more passed around than anything. Something was happening.
Okay.
Like whether it was she couldn't give
Yeah.
birth or she couldn't.
Oh, I see.
That kind of thing.
Oh,
and
interesting.
so it's actually this goes back to Genesis 3, right? The onus is on the guys.
Yeah. Well, and see, yeah, I'm wondering.
As Adam stands there and watches his wife do this and then
Right,
participates, it's the same thing here. The onus is on the guys, where
Yeah.
they're basically just kind of passing her around. 'cause
Yeah,
she
I
can't-
think she's
she
more
can't
the.
provide them
She's
with what
definitely
they
the
need.
victim here. I think maybe we should look at her that way. And the only
Maybe.
reason I say that is because this is Jacob's well, and I don't think you bring that into the story unless there's a Jacob connection.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
right?
and I think too
So-
often guys jump towards she's a promiscuous
Right.
or whatever, and that really may not be the case.
Right.
I mean,
She's
it-
just looking for
I
somebody
think
who's actually
we
going to
could definitely say this. If you're preaching this, that should not be the thrust of your.
Right,
That's
because
true.
that's a distraction.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the thrust is at the end of this thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The rest
Yeah.
of that bit is not even. Who knows?
Right.
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 Yeah, the big connection here is Jesus' next words, where he tells her what her reality is,
Yes.
and she goes, "Oh, you're somebody who's talking on a different level."
Right.
Right? I think she gets it.
Yeah, you're a
the
prophet.
rabbis call it the gift of smell, and we actually hear it when smell something funny or
Oh, yeah.
I smell a rat. That's the
Sure.
idea is
Yeah.
being able to perceive something that's beyond common knowledge.
Sure.
And
So
So
he
she gets it.
Yeah. So she, we always joke around that she's changing the subject abruptly, like.
Yeah.
So anyway, about
About
what we
worship, yeah, prophets and worship,
but
yeah.
I think you're right. There is a response here? He has spoken her about her life truthfully, and she responds with a very serious question.
yeah, all of a
about
sudden
worship.
she's like, "Oh, then I have a question for you."
Yeah.
Right? It could be that way. You could preach it the other way and it'd be fine.
Well, and there's probably some
but-
evidence that I mean, if Jesus and her are alone, then John learns about this from either her or Jesus. So
That's true.
Your secondhand record of it, right? And Jesus is giving. If he learns it from Jesus, he gets the cut down version, or her too, right? I mean, how much of the actual conversation was there? Other stuff in there? Who knows? But what
That's
John,
true,
John
too.
gives us is the bones of
Sure.
this thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It doesn't mean that she didn't say more before that. It just means that this is where John is wanting to take
Right,
you. That's a good
and,
point.
and John always misses details. I mean,
That's a good point.
he doesn't give us nearly the details we want as we move from story to story.
Yeah.
But he gives us the essence. He gives us what we need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To get
gives
us-
us need.
yeah.
So he so the question is about worship and location of worship, and this maybe isn't one of those things that we shouldn't pass this over lightly at all. Like that, what a heartfelt thing. I was thinking like when we were in like the Holy Lands and you saw the different sites we went to, and there is this deep desire for people to know they're close to their Lord, that they're close. Like, am I doing this right? Am I in the right place?
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. And
I mean, like so
and-
much so, like with that stone where they said they prepped the body.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
right beneath
We
where
need-
supposedly they crucified Jesus.
Yeah.
And there's people like laying on it and kissing it, and it literally says on the wall, "This ain't it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
This
Right.
isn't the stone. This is what a stone might have looked like."
Yeah.
So basically, it's like, it's like, I mean,
But no, you're right.
Yeah.
But see,
It's
but what I-
desire to be close to
But
it,
it's
right?
and we could pick on that. We could do that kind of stuff. But the thing is, I guess what I was getting at is that real desire.
Yeah.
I want to. Am I doing this right? Am I in the right spot? Is this faithful worship of my God? And so she asked that. Like we worship on the mountain. The Jews, you guys say we worship in Jerusalem. That's where it must be. It has to be there, right? And so she's got
That's
him.
where God
Well,
is
what do
in
we,
the
what do
ark
we
and
do,
everything else, right?
right? And so how does Jesus respond to this heartfelt question about
Time, an hour is coming, right?
Well,
When-
even but before that, and I think this goes to kind of faithful worship, and this is where we bring in the rest of the text, and even in the Old Testament, you might say this is kind of a question that's asked for the Babylonian captivity when the temple's gone. What do we do now?
Yeah, now what?
Right? Or even in Joel, we can't offer the sacrifices. What do we do now? Right? And
But I mean,
and-
if you have Jeremiah as a context, right? Jeremiah's like, listen, God's going to give you exactly what you
Well,
want.
and
False
that's the-
gods, you can have false gods. Go worship them.
Yeah.
And where are they? They're in Babylon.
Yeah.
Go have fun with that.
But
I
that's
mean,
the
it's-
point, is that Jesus says, you worship something that you've made, right? We worship what we know. And so I think that's the point. And so it's not about location, it's about understanding.
Right.
And in this case, right, especially as she will have revealed to her, we worship what we know. We worship the Christ.
Right.
Because the temple's about to get thrown off the
And the
mountain.
Christ is not a location as far as a physical on this earth place. The Christ is a person.
Yeah.
The Christ is a reality, and so we worship that. So, and I think that's kind of what Jesus is getting at here, right? There's not really going to be a place per se because
Yeah.
of who is there.
And it's for all
Right.
people too. You know,
Yeah.
it's not just for Israel, but it's also for this woman who is not only
Yeah.
5 husbands, not one of them are yours, but also that she's from this land which
Not Jewish.
should be separated from Israel. So I think there's so many different ways in which Jesus is showing us who he is and what he's bringing to the table for all the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she, as he speaks about worshiping in spirit and truth, she comes to this realization, right? Like, wait a minute, we are hoping, we're waiting for the Messiah, the one who's called the Christ, and he will. What does she say? He'll
Tell us all
He will tell us all things.
Yeah.
Right.
Reveal to us all
It'll
things.
be
yeah.
made known. Those things will be made known, and then you get kind of the great solidifying line there at the end, where Jesus says, "What?
I am.
I am. Yeah.
I am," says this.
And this is the first. You're doing the one on John. This is the first I am statement in John, right?
Yeah. So well, but they don't. And like
They don't include it,
There's
but
7 I am statements. This
I
is
get
kind of
that.
where he introduces the idea.
8 works
of-
well,
of
though,
I am.
so, yeah.
8 works. 8.
Yeah. So
8th is beyond, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, the ego in me here
Yeah.
is at least a nod in that direction of who it is that is speaking to you, has been speaking to you.
Well, it's interesting.
This
that
is
the
where you
first
get water.
person-
You don't need to drink. You will never thirst again. All that stuff. It's right here. Yeah.
Right. The first person he actually says that to is this gal.
This gal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
This hurting,
right.
questioning.
And this goes back to like the
outcast
whole
gal.
right. If you're writing this story because you want to make Jesus some type of impressive guy,
Yeah.
you don't make his first revelation to some woman from Samaria.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
You don't do that. You don't make his first revelation when he rises from the dead to Mary Magdalene. You don't do that. That's not that's not how you do it historically. But the Bible is, they're just revealing.
And
what
John
Jesus does.
specifically.
Yeah, and it's amazing the role that women have with
Yeah.
Jesus and what
And
he does with them.
It is interesting as you just talked about that I'm remembering that his first encounter at the tomb in John is Mary Magdalene,
Right.
and there
Right.
she doesn't know who he is right away,
Right.
and then he says
Gardener.
something to
the
her,
the
and all
echo
of a
of
sudden,
that story with this story
Yeah.
and John, I mean, you can't miss it, right?
That's-
Once
that's a
you
good
see
point.
it, it's like, boom, there it is.
Yeah,
So,
it's a good
All right.
point.
That should be. Well, at least that'll get you started.
Or more
Good-
confused.
yeah, it's
That's
it's
right.
good stuff though. So
You pick.
yeah, look at craftofpreaching.com as always. There's good resources there, and like, subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do. Tell your friends.
Sing, dance.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So, God bless your preaching.